This is Margaret Gilbert speaking. You are hearing the voices of Joe Mallinger and Harriet Williams, who is interviewing Joe and his sister Marie DeWitt. Of Harriet Williams and Joe Mallinger.
I didn't work. I was too small
Yeah.
than the rest of us.
And this was, what year was that?
Well, it was in,
1908, you said.
it must have been 1912 or something.
Marie?
I was born in 1911 and we moved out there afterwards to Grayling.
1905 and 1912, I was just about 7 years old, so you didn't even got to go to school. There was no school here. Well, there was Lowe's, but we went to Grayling.
Yeah, tell Margaret about it. Tell
Oh.
Margaret about it. You went to
Maybe we
Grayling.
should discuss it first before it goes on there because it's, we don't always agree.
Well, that's all right. You can all say two different stories.
Well, and that place there's with
Maybe neither
blanks
one's
there.
right.
Well,
That was,
that'll make it more interesting.
well,
I was probably a year old when we moved to Grayling because Catherine was born in Grayling afterwards.
Mhm.
She was born in 1913, I was born in 1911. So it's in between that time that we moved to Grayling.
There's no school here then.
well, I don't know.
It was too far for
if
us
there
to
was
go.
or not. There must have been there, but we just moved to Grayling.
I think Herman Miller
That's
probably
all I
went
know.
to school there, I'm not sure.
Went to school where?
Love School,
Oh, Love School.
you know where it used to be? You know where Skingsley's farm is?
Yeah,
It was north of that,
on the corner.
across the road.
On the corner.
Yeah, and then the highway went around that corner.
Yeah.
A square turn right there, the highway, the old highway.
I remember now.
You remember that?
The highway's built right over the top of the old foundation.
Now,
filled it in
now
there.
the new one is.
It's right through the
on top
corner.
of that.
Fill is, but 6 foot fill on that.
What'd you say you worked at, or your dad or somebody worked at in Grayling? What company?
Well, the DuPont has worked in the railroads. They've worked. They're all busy there.
DuPont.
DuPont. No, they got started there afterwards.
DuPont
They
made
worked
chemicals.
on the railroad.
DuPont.
The dance hall.
About what?
The dance hall.
Oh, yes. Where was a dance hall that was near Lakeside? An old
Well,
dance hall.
that
Was
was-
that in Lakeside or
That was right in Lakeside's property.
in Lakeside's property?
Yeah.
The east
And
end
it's
of
just
it.
where that fire line goes through, that road goes all the way down. It's just west of that, about 200 feet. There was no cottage or anything in there, and I tore it down back there in, well, I don't know, 37 or 38 or something like that, or maybe a little later. They didn't want it no more because it's too much upkeep and they need a new roof and need new shingles on there. Otherwise, their boards and everything's all good. It was built good and everything. But they wasn't using it no more, so they want to get rid of it because they got tired of the kids going over and having a heck of a good time on the deal and something when they ain't supposed to. And so I tore it down and built a boathouse. They got sitting back there now where the Ball Diamond is. But right in the corner of the Ball Diamond to the northwest, there's a big oak tree there. I don't know if it's still there or not. There was a barn or shed where they stored the stuff in. But that come from in front of the dining hall somewhere. They had a hall there years ago in there. And they had the 8x8 timbers in the corners. And they had braces on the side with ornaments like they was kind of fancy did. I took all that stuff and built that big boathouse out of it. And the roof and everything. And it's clear ceiling and there's no trusses or anything in the hole in it.
Do you know where
And
the
at one end they got a ceiling in there where they stored some, so the rest is all one floor where they
Did
stored
you
the
go
books. and
dancing?
Huh?
Did you go dancing?
Well, I had it over there once or twice, but I never was over there. Just only once or twice. That's all I remember in that hall.
I remembered going there, but it kind of,
No,
did they
we-
have a coat room in the
Well,
back?
there
you
we
think?
never-
Was there something like that?
Yeah.
You said you were there once.
Well,
That's
just went by. Clayton
Didn't
showed
go
me where
in.
it was. Showed me the building.
Yeah.
That's all.
Because there's no sign of it there no more. There's cottage and stuff built right now. This is the last 40 years.
You don't know anything about who attended or when they attended, what orchestra they had, what music they
I
had?
don't remember who
Well,
played.
they had some of their own there, and I don't know. I don't know if they had a phonograph in there or not. I wouldn't know. They didn't have nothing in there when they brought their stuff with them when they come in there.
There was no, down from the Skingley Hotel, there was no dance hall down in there?
Not I know.
You have no idea when when the one in Lakeside was built?
Well, as I went back there, must have been built in the 20s somewhere like that. I ain't sure, but that's because it was an older building then already.
Retired on
But it was kept up pretty good. There was good material in it. That's why I could build a boathouse with it. It was easy to take apart and put it back. I used the parts in some place for the rafters. They didn't, in order to make a long rafters 2x6. I took some of them stuff and split them in two, make 2x6 out of them, floor joists.
Have you anything to say about it, Marie? Were you ever there? Did you ever dance there? Or?
I think so, and if I did, it was, we went down as caretakers, Joe, my mother and I, we went down there in 35, and it was still there at that time. And during that, then later on, Joe tore it down, because it was getting to be a
Somewhere's in
nuisance.
there.
But you didn't go,
And I don't know who played at the time that we went to the dance, I don't remember, I know we went there, I don't know if they had electric lights or kerosene lights, I have no idea.
can you
They
remember?
didn't have no electrical lights there, no. Because when they just got there, before we got down there, just got electricity down there, just same as Cottage Grove.
What year was that, about, that they got cottage, electricity?
30s, in the 30s, something like that. Because they had their own power line there. Montague's and them had their own power units there. When they got in, they just disconnected. Because electricity was cheap, and they got it in from Roscommon. Finally, consumers bought Roscommon out, and they consumers in.
There wasn't any telephone either, was there?
Yes, there was a telephone, but one of them party telephones. When you ring it, you certain amount ring, you get a call up, and then everybody be listening on
Do you
it.
remember that?
Oh, yes, huh?
I'm just asking a question.
Marie, Marie, if you don't sit here, we can't get your voice.
Okay.
And I want you to talk. It's so.
Can I get you another, can I get you a chair?
No, I'm fine. I can just talk here just great. But I wanted to ask you some questions about when you were here and what you liked about it. Did you ever go to the dance hall? Or,
Oh, yes, we used to go.
and what kind of
You
dances
mean
did
down
you
at
do?
down at that pavilion at the lake?
Yes.
Lakeside Pavilion?
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't think we had square dances, maybe we just did some
That's about
round
all.
dances, playing round
There-
dances, I don't know.
Did the military, did the soldiers come down to it?
Well,
Not
they
that
didn't
I
come
know.
there.
I don't know
They
that
had
they,
a hall down in the Legion ground when you go down to the lake there. You go down there, instead of turning there, and you go right straight down the lake there.
Where,
over by Evelyn Fraser.
When you use it-
Evelyn, the Frasers had a dance
That's-
hall,
yeah.
yeah, that was something else.
That's something else,
That's
Joe.
They tore that down complete. They
That's-
got rid of it.
As far as I
It fell
know,
down.
the
It fell down.
military never came down there.
It fell down.
Did you go to the Lyric, Marie?
Oh, yes.
And what kind? And you did round dances there too, or what?
Not, that was a Lyric over there, wasn't it, Fraser's, that was
Yeah.
called a Lyric.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we went there and they had round dances and square dances and had a lunchroom and everything.
Until
Whole place.
Prohibition came in, that took care of
Yeah. Remember Evelyn Garland's husband, Ben Garland, played there?
it. I'd forgotten that.
Yes,
I'd forgotten.
yes.
What did he play, piano?
He played the piano, he was very
Yeah.
good at
I
that.
couldn't remember what the music was, I remember going
And a
there.
lady from Grayling, Jean
What do you call it? Was in it?
Underwood, played something else, I don't remember what she
Garland
played anymore.
Garland played there.
Ben Garland, we just got
Yeah.
through saying Joe, Ben Garland played there
Yeah,
all
he
the time
played.
that I know of, he was there.
Was your childhood nice and happy, or did you have to do a lot of work, or did you enjoy the chores?
Well, you probably helped farm, wash clothes,
Oh, I
bake
think we did
bread.
everything.
You worked hard.
Yes.
At what?
At what?
You know.
Well, we usually think that you do on a farm.
Well, I don't know. I see, I've never been on a farm. What do you do on the farm?
Well, we had cows, and we had to go, and there was open range at that time, and we had to go out and hunt them when at nighttime when it was time for them to come in to be milked, because sometimes they would come home and sometimes they wouldn't. So you went out, and they all had bells. All the farmers around here had their own group of cows. They would all go kind of west.
How could you tell which herd was yours?
And they all had bells, and the bells had different sounds.
And
So
knew
you
the
could
sound?
tell your bunch of cows usually from somebody else's.
Well, somebody else would be they
Now,
come
did the
home.
girls have to go after the cows or the boys?
They went, and then later
Right.
on we started to go, and we had a horse, and I'd ride horseback after him.
Well, I mostly walked. They didn't use no horse.
Well, he
Horse
didn't-
too.
he didn't
I
care.
walked. You come home at night dark, you couldn't see nothing dark. But we didn't have no trouble finding our way home.
The cows would lead you home.
They was mostly we get them started right, or we went neighbors there. We've come back at dark night without a flashlight or anything. We know the path was there, and if we get off, we can tell it when we're getting off it.
Who had a flashlight at that time?
No, we didn't have no flashlights.
Torch?
Once in a while a lantern, but there was enough light. You out there for a while. You out there, and you could see enough to know whether you were on the road or not.
right.
And there wasn't the trees wasn't that big. A little more light come down to the ground, and when we walked, you could find there's a path there where we was traveling. The horses and the cows going up to there, and you know when they go with their hoofs, they chew it all up, and they find it's easy. And say way down the lake, Cottage Grove, we walked down there too. We had a trail right from out front of the house there. Went across, we walked on an angle there, and I took a hand cultivator and stirred it up good so we could handle it. And after we went to Lakeside Camp, it disappeared because it never been used. We went out where
Grew up.
where Anderson lived. We come out back there.
Remember the
We
old
didn't have no
Anderson
trouble
people?
walking.
Carpenter?
We
They
didn't
used to
mind
come
it.
from
Well,
Saginaw.
that was in the Cottage Grove
Yes,
grounds.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's where you came through there.
Yeah, we're right across, right straight on the angle there. We come
Into
right there.
Cottage Grove.
Yeah, we didn't have no trouble.
No.
We just got used to it, and we found our way, and we knew when it
Did
was
you
off.
milk the cows or did they?
I never could. I never learned. Smart.
But you pumped water to wash clothes.
Catherine could do it. No, we had electric. We had not electric. We had a gasoline pump.
Oh. Well, that helped.
Did you grow your own feed for the cattle or in the winters?
Well, there wasn't enough land to grow enough feed for the cattle. You had to always buy some more, you know.
Yeah, we always got some
You
extra
had to
hay
buy
and
extra
stuff.
feed.
Did you have any other animals?
Well,
Pigs, chickens, ducks. No
we had
geese
some
or
hogs every
turkeys.
year.
At
2 or
that
3 of
time,
'em.
people around here used to raise chickens. Clayton's dad, I know, in the
Yeah,
summertime.
you had your own eggs, and then you had the chickens, you know.
But you'd sell the chickens locally because the grocery stores
Well, you
you couldn't buy frozen chicken
Right,
at that time.
right.
So you had to buy locally.
Well,
So I know
Probably-
Clayton's dad sold some, and I think you
from the
folks
dining
sold.
hall probably
Yeah.
bought some of your
Well,
chickens.
yeah, or people around the
people.
lake too. In Evergreen Park. Come down and buy it. Like
Well-
they buy corn today, you know.
well, we got enough corn and stuff. We just raised if we went town bought some we were in short. No, Olson had a bunch of chickens right there north of George Petrucci place there. That's where he had a farm there and raised chicken for a while, and then he quit because there wasn't enough money in it. And Doc Godfrey raised chickens,
Yeah.
and my mother always got a bunch when she wanted had made chicken dinner for them peoples.
hmm
Told them what they wanted.
She was a good cook.
Yeah, well,
Everybody liked her cooking.
that's what they liked. That
Yeah.
it was chicken. It was in pieces, and I don't know just how she made it, but it was good. And of course, you can buy them now in the store, but they're a little different than what you buy.
Tastes the same.
Homegrown's different. They say altogether different than it is store-bought chickens.
They're fresh.
How did you have to buy at the store? Didn't you?
Where did we go?
I mean, what did you have to get? You raised most everything
Mostly
yourself?
staple things like coffee, sugar, and rice, and well, my grandma made her own noodles. Well, things like that, seasonings, like pepper and salt and cinnamon roll. My grandma made a lot of cinnamon rolls, so she had to get cinnamon. Things like that you buy, more staple things, and flour, of course.
What things made you happiest when you were a child on the farm? What did you enjoy the most?
Simple things.
All right, what? That sounds
Skiing, we
lovely.
had skis. We had sleds, had toboggan.
Where'd you ski down
We had
the
to
hill?
pull the
hill
toboggans
back
up
of
the
your
hill and
place?
slide down, you know, ski. Really never knew how to ski. We just did cross country skiing.
That's a lot.
Probably homemade skis.
I know Joe got a pair of Finlander skis, and they're narrow.
Oh.
Finlander skis are narrow,
Mhm.
and they later on did racing with those, but we didn't. We just then we got the wider ones because they would stay more on top of snow.
What things made you unhappiest?
I couldn't say. We were
You
we
weren't
didn't know
unhappy.
any better, you know. We didn't know enough. We were just happy with the simplest things. Get an orange in your stocking at Christmas time. Go to school, you know,
One
country
orange.
school,
One
and then
orange.
we'd save it until it was almost spoiled. Did you do that too, Harriet?
Well, they didn't get oranges and stuff
We
like
know.
nowadays. They just got in stores here just for over the holidays, and that was it. Because they didn't dare get too much ahead, or well, it costs a lot more than it is now too.
But for fruit, there was always a lot of huckleberries at that time, just lots of huckleberries, and what we call June berries. Are you familiar with June berry?
No, what are they?
They're bush type thing, and they have purple berries about like that size, and they're very seedy, but they make wonderful gel or jam, or you can can them as just fruit. Anyway, my mother canned a lot of huckleberries and things like that, and we had that as for our fruit at wintertime. And you always did a lot of canning.
Did you ever want to go live in the city?
No, I still don't.
Well, the city,
They can
now,
have it. We lived in Chicago a couple of years, but I don't remember too much about that. But I did start school in Chicago.
So you went from here, from
From Greeley, we went to Chicago.
Yeah. was there 3 years there, and we come back, and it when it was back there about 10 years or 12, and maybe it wasn't that long. And went from Catherine from Indiana there, took me in there, and I was going to run the car in there, and he said, "No, they're not going to lead me to do that." So they took me in there, and it changed a lot. They had a big freeway going through there, and the town changed so much. Cousin is there. He didn't know where we lived, and he told him where about, and they finally got around, and I tried to find a place where my other cousin lives there. She was alone there, and I could tell him when he came around and finally seen her, because Lincoln Avenue is that way, and Wellington this way, and the Southport like that, like a tree corner. And we got there, and he came by, and I said, "We got to go way around like that, and then go down." And it's down just a block, and we took him right to it. It's right there. But we lived on the Lincoln Avenue too, but that big school here, church, hall, school, and sisters' home there, Catholic whole block they used. And I was there the same thing, but I didn't get in trouble. I was down there. I had this tundra in my arm, and then boy, I should have stayed till that had taken care of it. I couldn't take it no more. I had to go down and took care of it.
When was this?
You know, that's
Joe, you're sidetracking everything.
well, you don't want to. Well, anyways,
I was going to ask you, Marie, what it felt like when you went to the Chicago school for the first day.
I can't remember. It was a Catholic school. I went to Catholic school. It was about 2 blocks away from where we lived. Remember a nice chubby policeman helped us across the street. I was only there probably 1 year, and I can't remember too much about it.
You weren't unhappy there, though. It was
Oh,
okay.
no, probably happy to go to school.
You were happy to go to school.
Well, I would think so, because the boys were going to school there already, so it was the right thing to do.
But you probably did eventually go to the school down here on the corner.
No, we didn't. We didn't go right away, Harriet. We came from Chicago back here. We went to Love School.
Oh,
First, it seems to me like we missed 1 year because we
missed
didn't.
1 year.
The boys maybe went to school, but us, Catherine and I, didn't go because of because it was so far away. After that, the school board got together, and so we. I don't know whether they paid Grandma or not for hauling us. But we had a wagon, and then in the wintertime we had a sled that we'd go to school in that covered thing.
they'd pick you up.
Grandma, no, the boys would drive the horse over there, and then we'd put the horse in the Milliken barn during the day.
Put it over there, base.
And then at night they would come and get us from the school building, and we'd come home. But afterwards they didn't want to do that anymore, and that's when we went to Lakeside School 1 year. I was
Lakeside
in
or
the fifth.
Sims?
I was in the 5th grade at that time.
Would that be the Sims school, not the Lakeside school?
What we call the Sims or Lakeside,
It's same school.
either one.
Mhm.
Then we went, and after we went 1 year there, and then we went, after that we went to Grayling.
Just you two girls who went to Grayling, stayed
Yes.
there.
You roomed or stayed there?
Grandma stayed with us.
There, house.
Mhm.
Grandma, my mother, everyone
No, I
called her
went
Grandma.
in the town every weekend just about and brought some wood in or brought them home and took them back next day. With the
But you
horses.
take them by the wagon.
No, with the horses and sleighing winter time.
Oh, yeah.
There was no, what do you call it, no roads. When they never kept the roads open till after 25. They waited till the storm was all over. Then when they opened up their, above Loves, there was, Lamont had his grocery store. It's closed now. Well, it's, you know, where the fire department's office is in Crawford County, where they got their equipment and stuff, just south of that a half a mile. We call it Milliken Lane there. Frank Milligan had, and he sold all the chunk and acre so often whenever he wanted some. And we went there, and then they didn't plow the roads out till the storm quit. And then they couldn't get it open. They had to get the rotary plowed, and there's a tunnel through there. In the wintertime, you couldn't drive there. And always park the car in the shed or jacked up and let us sit there.
Did you have a favorite teacher?
Country school?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they came and they went. I remember one in particular. He was a man teacher. He was older, and he wanted to teach us all how to farm.
Oh, Bailey, yeah.
He was older. He was
Yeah.
I think he was an agricultural. He was agriculture agent somewhere, and then he taught 1 year. And I knew all the names of the pigs, cows, and chickens, and everything. I knew their names. I don't know if I'd listened in and heard it, or whether I was taught that. I don't remember that, but I knew it. So anyway, I remembered him. He was outstanding.
What do you mean by their names? The kinds they were? The kind of cows? Or
Each kind, there's a different kind of cow, isn't there? A different kind of a herd, or
Hereford.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. Chickens out there were different kinds of chickens. There were
Yeah.
different kind of
Hereford.
pigs.
Oh, yeah.
There were Herefords and Jersey cows and Holsteins and all that kind of stuff. And horses had different names like that. There was a riding horse and maybe a heavy plow horse, and they all had different names. And I knew all those at one time.
Work horses, a great big horse, but we just had horses.
Did you know that?
Plain horses years ago. It wasn't none fancy.
We had mostly plow horses, and
When did you buy your first car? When did the family buy them?
I think I got it in 24 from DeWitt in Roscommon. Brand new one. $400.
What kind?
Ford touring car.
Black?
Yeah, it's black.
Weren't
You
they
can
all
get all
black?
colors, you can get all colors, just black. That's all you can get out. That's what he advertised. But it was good. We had her. We went on a trip with it, the three of us, and we come back and didn't have no trouble.
Remember the side curtains that you had? You had to plug them in. It had a kind of a turnbuckle to hold them on there. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? Okay.
What were the roads like that you traveled over then?
What's that?
What were the roads like? They were trails, weren't they?
Oh, grailing. Yeah, the trails are. You up them hills, you couldn't get. You have to. That hill didn't come straight. You turned to the west and then through that club there to the lowest spot.
You came around.
And then half the time you couldn't get up to in low even up there, so sandy. Horses went there and they stirred it up. After they get enough cars in, there's no sand in the roads no more. You know how long it took them to put that road in there? Was that what they had in there? Year and a half, 2 years. They had horses scraping that hill down. And when they wasn't put the machinery in, it was in 6 months all done. They'd done a better
There's
job.
a man in
Took
there in a
more
little
down.
box.
Yes,
It's
that's.
unbelievable.
Well, that's what all they did years ago. That's why they put railroads in. The horses, that's all they ever had. And they put lots of grades in now, of course. They had enough horses there, and they
2 horses to a team, or 4 or 6 or what?
mostly pair them
I think you
together.
should have a chair.
'Cause anything else,
You think you should have a chair?
it didn't work too good. But they get, them fellas worked in the woods, and they worked on the road. They had good teams, and the horses, they were well matched. And they worked good without much any effort or anything. They had to in order. And when they didn't, it was hard on the horses and hard on the drivers. And otherwise, they, because most of the time around here, very seldom anybody had a pair of horses to match
Oh,
that worked together. I had once, a neighbor had one. I hooked them together. Never hooked together before, and did, and they was the best team ever. You didn't have no trouble at all. I went to get the snow about 2 foot high, and I went back and got some wood I had to cut and brought it home, and I stopped and come up to Holiday Heights, that trail. They stopped, and I was just around them, and I was going to stop, but they stopped before. And I was walking around and fussing around, and all of a sudden they took off, and you know horses go like this. They didn't. They just start like that. Right? That's where you could do a lot of work with that. No effort. They start up easy without saying anything to them.
what did you do for wood? Did you have, did you maybe cut it in the woods and then draw it in by horses and
Yeah, sure. We got it
on a sleigh or what?
with the sleigh mostly when we got it. I got some on the 4th Street too here when that fire went after the fire went through in
What fire?
25. Come in from the west end, burnt quite a bit of
I don't know about that.
it. That's right.
Tell us about it. I don't know about it.
Yeah. Well, but Aubrey said he can have wood, so I went in and
No, about the fire.
Well, that started from out west. It come in. They come in from the northwest and from the west and from southwest. It all come in. They stopped it, except that one spot would come in from the northwest in there. It burnt all the way until that pipeline runs north and south there. And then they cut it. They had somebody from down below come and haul them in there, and Aubrey was in there and took care of it. And he had a bunch of fellows cut it and skid it to the pile, and Herb Walters had some friends, the ladies from down below, to come up and they hauled it in. They had a sawmill in the forest there, and they cut the sawdust all up. They had about 125,000 feet of stuff there. Jack pine, there's some pine in it too. You know, that same spot is all growed up, and now it's bare anyway, so you went and cut a lot of it off since that time, second growth. Oh. Well, I don't know. You get to jump from one to the other.
Marie, I would like to ask you a question, but I'm going to stop this first.
You were born with
Yeah.
that. What
I
kind
was-
of ship did
I
you
was
have?
6 months old.
What was the name of that ship?
And that's all I
What kind
know.
of a ship? It wasn't a sailing vessel.
No.
Oh,
it's
no. Oh, no,
a
they
little
were-
steamer.
Steamer.
But I don't know. That's just afterwards what I heard them talk about, and but
They were
I
public.
come across my mother. She's sick. She got seasick, and she was sick all the time. And her sister-in-law would come with her. She was single then yet, and she was taking care of me. Otherwise, I wasn't sick or anything. My mother, she's sick every bit till they hit the harbor, and then she was all right. Some people get seasick that way. But then I just put together, since from there on I know how long I was here, but we never saw our grandparents or the only aunts
No
we saw
relatives.
in Chicago. There we had 2 or 3 of them there. That's the only ones we know, and cousins. But they're all gone now too. So, and their cousins were there. Many of them were around. They moved and left the country and went somewhere else. One of them lived in Chicago, and one is living in Indiana, and the rest of them. The grandchildren of them is around there yet.
Why do you think your parents came to America?
Came
Because
from?
money was growing on trees, you know. You get a quick buck and then you go back again.
Where'd they come from? Which country?
I always say Austria-Hungary, and Joe says no, so we disagree there. He says Hungary.
Austrian. That's
He says
where
Austria. I don't know.
Austrian is in this. No, Hungarian is the southern part of the country there, where they having all the wars. The south of them there, and Austrians up in the northern part, but they're in the same area. So we come where it was a lot warmer. They never had no winter there in that part. And
Our
of course,
parents were German-speaking people, but they lived in Hungary, but Grandma said you had to go to school. You had to one class of their language you had to learn.
all
Hungarian
people that could
language.
talk different language, they just picked it up naturally.
6th grade was the highest you went until you got into it, went on beyond that.
You had to go to school to pick up this different language here, to learn it. But out there, amongst the kids, they took it up without any effort. We moved from here. When we moved from here to Grayling that time, we didn't know a word of English. We sure learned in a hurry, though. Inside of a year, we was as good as the rest of them. We went to school, we didn't have no trouble.
The kids would make fun of the boys. There's the 3 boys at that time. They would make fun of them, and Grandma said, "Don't come home and cry." She said, "Fight them back."
Well,
And they
Makes stronger
did.
people.
That was it.
Sure.
That took care of it.
Did your grandmother speak English?
My mother, well, she learned.
Oh, your mother.
My mother, she learned.
no, we never know our grandparents at all. We never saw them. They never come in like now. Now, afterwards, World War II, you could travel anywhere there. Before that, it wasn't so good even to travel. But now they can travel back and forth. France, Josephine, her wife, visited 3 or 4 times their folks over there.
Yeah, they have.
It makes a difference.
A lot
And
easier.
it didn't cost us, we never had the money even if we wanted to go. We never got that
Doesn't
much.
cost that much now.
Well, it didn't cost much neither, but we didn't have the money. When you get $1 a day and 30 cents an hour the most, 35. When we worked there in the nursery here in the forest, towards the fall of the year, they said we're short of money. We can work if we want, we'll get it. We never quit. We stayed right with them. Then we got the money when they got money appropriated.
Well, that's wages. That was the rate at that time
Yeah,
for
well,
people.
sure.
Yeah,
You could buy a pair of shoes, but it cost $125 for $15, $18. And it was better than what they buy now for $100. Because I had a pair of leather shoes. I could use them for 2 years without getting wet feet in them and walking in water and everything.
yeah.
And you can't do that now.
What did you do at the nursery?
Well, we worked out in the woods first. We grubbed the stumps out in the woods there so the tractor could put cables on it. They didn't have no bulldozer tractors. They had just something to hook the cables to and jerk them
And the
out.
horse pulled?
No,
Oh.
they used some for horse, but afterwards you got a big army tank from the army there. That's all it's good for, just pull the stumps out. And we had brush. There was no trees like these now, just brush along there and stumps. We had to get them out.
Well, the old virgin timber stump.
Oh, there's some of them, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're pretty well gone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some of them great big ones they pull like that out there. That big crawler tractor couldn't pull. They finally made it by hooking on going 2-3 different directions on it. Then they just had to roll it out on the side and left, and then they disced it up and worked it up so they could be sanded so the leaves and small mulch and stuff has all disappeared. Then afterwards, when the plants were ready to plant in the spring or in the fall of the year, we had to go out and plant them.
Yeah.
They made furrows on it, so it was easier to plant. Sometimes you don't. We had to kick the dirt off to get down to sand planted. We planted from 1,500 to 2,000, depends how we had a furrow. We planted more than that because we didn't have to bother with.
How tall were the trees?
Oh, they're 4, 5, 6, 7 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
2-year-old trees, transplant.
Mm-hmm. Then they would be moved eventually. They'd grow there a year or two and then moved again.
No, they're rooting after we raised them in the nursery there. We put them out and plant them in the furrows, and then they grow there, and then they turn out and they harvest a lot of them here lately. Some places they didn't, they have to.
Is that what the CCers did, or you did this before the CCs were?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they come over, they took over natives just as someone just foreman around it and showing them.
Yeah.
They got their own trucks. They haul them back and forth from one job to the other. So they had to hire some trucks for a while, and well, it worked for a while till they got their own, and then they just out of work. It didn't make no difference. I always had found plenty to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then we finally got a job for being caretaker at Lakeside Camp. Then I quit farming and everything. I had a bunch of
That's another story.
I was going to ask Marie, what did girls look forward to doing? Did they have the opportunities today for?
Some of the girls, when they got through country school, they went on to high school. But when you went to high school, there weren't any school buses at that time, so you had to board and room in school in town.
Is that what you did?
So we did. Grandma rented a little place, and she stayed with us in the winter time. And then when work started along the lake, we stayed alone. One night they burned a Ku Klux Klan right across the street from us, and we didn't know it until next morning.
That's news.
Mm-hmm. I was so afraid after that.
Why did they burn it? Why did they?
I don't know. They must have had a meeting there or something during the night, and they burned. Next morning we saw this big cross burnt down. We
You
weren't
must
aware
have
of it.
read
Of course, we
something
were
about they're
sleeping.
still doing it in southern part.
Where?
Oh, every once in a while, a bunch of them guys get together and burn the cross and stuff. The Ku Klux Klan.
Where?
Down in the southern part of the states. Then
The
it
southern states, but not in Michigan.
No,
Mhm.
they kind of slowed
You
down.
just never thought of them
They're-
being up this far
Didn't
north.
like the
you
colored
know.
people. That's what it
There were no
was.
colored people up here.
They still don't like them. That's why they got them once in a while. They kind of got them quieted down. They don't show it out as plain as they did years ago.
What year would that have been about?
It would be in the late 20s.
And where was it you were going to school, in Roscommon?
Grayling.
On Grayling.
And Clayton went to school in Grayling, graduated, and Madeline went to school in Grayling, and Art Williams and I were in the same class.
And he went to school in Baker.
Went to school in Grayling.
He boarded up there somewhere.
Yes.
How many students would have been in your class?
About 30 of us that graduated in 1930.
What was your favorite subject?
Probably history. We're pretty good at spelling. I took typing, but that didn't amount to too much. I didn't go on.
Did you have some favorite characters in history that you liked particularly?
I just liked history, all of it.
Did they teach it according to dates?
I hated where they dissect things.
Biology?
Oh, I do it. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't do it. I
But you
couldn't do
cleaned a
it.
chicken a time or two.
I never killed a chicken.
Oh, didn't you?
Never in my life.
Did you pluck it?
I can't put a worm on a hook. Frank always did it for me, and now I'm lost because no one will do it for me. So I don't go fishing very much.
Well, you cleaned the fish, though.
Well, I tried not to. I did.
That's the way it goes. Some
I did.
can't do it, and some don't bother them.
Catherine, my sister, could kill a chicken, and it wouldn't bother her. Well, she turned out to be a nurse, so it didn't bother her. I could see Grandma killing a chicken.
She would kill it.
She did it, but she learned how to do that in Europe already.
Yeah, they had to do it.
Mm-hmm. Everybody did that except me. You know, they'd butcher every fall. You'd butcher a pig or a beef or something like that. When it came to butchering pigs, I disappeared because I could not stand the squeal.
Oh,
Well,
So I left. I'm really very squeamish.
Well, rendered very tender heart.
I don't know, but I don't like to this day, I don't like to kill anything.
Did you have any pets among the animals?
Oh, we always had cats and dogs and made pets probably of the cows. Little calves are so cute. And we liked to horseback ride. We didn't have very good riding horses, but they weren't that heavy. They weren't the heavy type horses. So we liked horseback ride. Got knocked off a couple of times.
Did you have a lot of friends and family?
There aren't many people around here, actually, really, there weren't.
So you made your own
Well,
amusements?
Yeah, we had some friends, but not a lot of people around who lived around here.
When did you notice the biggest influx of people? During what years?
I think probably around 1930, something like that, when the electricity came into here. Electricity was into the lakeside, into the camps and so on. I think probably about then when it started building up. Don't you?
after the Second War, I think.
That's the bigger part at that time.
Did you enjoy the lake? Did you go swimming a lot?
Yeah, we'd walk down, go swimming, and then be all hot and bothered when we came back. We'd find a log and ride the log out there. That was fun. You ever do that?
No, I never did. I never found a log in the, along the lake.
Were they driftwood underwater or
Well, they'd just be floating on top of the water.
logs?
Would it have?
Once in a while, not a lot of them.
Would they have been the dead heads
It could have been.
that had gotten those? I bet they were.
Because Joe did get some of those, quite a few of those out, didn't you? Deadheads out of the lake.
What's that?
Did you get some deadheads out of the lake? Old logs with a.
Well, I didn't get them
You
out.
didn't do it.
Somebody else
Somebody
got
else
them
did.
out.
You did. You
But
okay?
they
You
was
didn't
bragging
do it.
about the big logs there. They're just stuff that wouldn't float. They'd go to the bottom.
But they
You
would
take
have
a
the markings
Norway
on
to
them.
the top
Stamp
more
them,
limbs and heavy, they'd just go to the bottom. But the better ones never sunk in the lake. They'd kept on floating. And there's still some in there. Over on Flag Point, and that's 70 foot of water or better. But somebody tried it here about 4 or 5 years ago. It didn't work out. Somebody got Japs to come over here and do it. They wanted wood, so they got them started and they worked for a while and they just quit because they couldn't make it pay out. They hauled the logs, all the grailing to Matson, there's Stanley Matson, there had a sawmill there.
You say the Japanese?
Well, they wanted, they hired somebody to do it, but they couldn't make it work out. They can't, the stuff ain't in the lake no more. That good stuff floated out of the lake. The poor stuff is.
Well,
Ain't in the lake no more. That good stuff floated out of the lake. The poor stuff is.
well, I think people have been off and on to getting the logs out
Well,
that are
they
down there.
do yet, sure. Some are just doing for the, with the suit and stuff. They can go down and get them. But before they had it, first time somebody was in there back there in about 30 years ago, when I got them in 1925, 30, they had hard hats. They went down with that and had a tube down where they pumped the air down to them.
Oh,
You saw a picture where they use them hard caps on the suits on. Well, that's what they used. And then, and if you wasn't careful with it, and the fumes up there run the compressor, they got it down in there and they passed out. They got sick, so when they had to get straightened out before they go down again. No, the guys told me there's big ones, them logs that they saw down there. The water when it lays in the water, it magnifies them bigger than they are.
The what?
When it,
Oh, they look larger.
They get larger. When they bring them out, they're small. And they always said, "Oh, some big ones." I said, I start kidding them about it. How about big ones? I don't see no big ones. They quit. They couldn't make it go. Frosty Wyckoff got some of them too, but
Did you cut them up?
yeah, what was easy to cut is they're soft.
They aren't
They
very
weren't
good
there-
timber, are they? Or
Well,
lumber.
it worked, but there wasn't a good that all the life was going out of it. The water soaked the strength out of it, so they're kind of brittle. And the slabs, you cut a slab off and you drop it, and it'd break in 3-4 pieces.
Huh.
Because he'd lay in the water so long, it'd take all that rosin out of there and it weakens it. But the bigger one is nice, but it wasn't like the stuff in green. When they floated there, well, they just had a year when they floated all down, it was only 6 months at the river. But then when they got out, they run it through the mill right away. But that was laying 50 years in the water, or close to it. It makes a difference then.
I notice you're still doing your own farming there in the garden. Not quite a lot of
Well,
work.
we've done some farming, but not much. Worked in the woods a little bit and off and on, and wherever we would, and got wood up. And
You still burn wood stove? You still have your wood furnace?
Yeah, I got a wood furnace in the basement.
But you don't
They
use it?
also has.
I use that and the gas both.
Oh,
When that goes out, the gas takes over.
well, that's a nice way.
It's automatic. Switch one out by itself.
I don't imagine you use wood now that
Not anymore.
Frank's
It's
gone.
strictly gas. I got a whole wood pile, wood shed full of wood though.
nothing to burn it in.
I have,
Nice.
oh yes, I have a barrel stove down in the basement that I start once in a while. When it's real cold, I'll start that barrel stove up.
You have a garden too, so you do some
Well, you can call it a garden spot.
you don't garden?
Nothing grows anymore because it's like a open spot in the woods. I'm surrounded by woods. You look straight up and I can see the sky.
What do you remember about the Skingley Hotel? Anything special?
Well, I saw the building there. It had rails on there in the front there, but I never was inside it.
Skingsley Hotel,
Yeah,
Skingsley Hotel down here had a open porch.
the house,
I don't
that
remember.
house across from Love's, that was a beautiful home they built. But during the CC days, Art went upstairs to take care of the, I think it was, he had up there some water and stuff, and
The tanker blew up, didn't it?
tank and stuff up there, and he swelled it, and the blowtorch exploded and put in fire, and it burnt it down. Otherwise, it was a nice home. I wasn't in it, but
It was one
outside
of the
it
nicer
built,
homes
built
around
like
here.
they do nowadays, all them fancy roofs.
They must have had money when they came from Chicago.
Well,
Everybody came from
yeah.
Chicago, didn't
No, originally came
They
from
come
England.
from
They were
England.
English people.
they? Oh, yeah.
her husband, they're both English. Her husband was a chore boy for the family.
Was it
For
Charlie?
Well, the handyman around the farm and place. You know, like you hire a chauffeur or something, or have a
Yeah, but
guy.
I don't know what he's trying
That's
to
when
say.
he was there.
I understood he worked for royalty, so that's all I
And-
know.
Oh,
They didn't like it that she married him, so they come over here and they got a little help to build the house because she was pretty good to build it. So that's,
you think she married beneath her then? This is what you're saying. Socially.
I don't know.
Mhm.
that's the way I understood it.
Uh-huh.
So
I
Yeah.
didn't know what he was trying to say at first.
no, she had jewelry and everything nice. I heard it, everything nice, furniture and everything.
Mhm.
But when the fire, that was the end of it. She lost everything.
Wasn't Art killed in that? Didn't they
Yes, he
explosion
died.
kill him?
He
No.
died.
Yeah, the
Well, there's
son.
He
quite a
died
few of 'em.
instantly.
There's
I don't know.
4 or 5 boys and 1 girl in the family.
The CC boys went over to that fire, and Frank was one of them that went to that fire.
Oh.
So that was in,
Was he stationed here?
pardon,
Frank was stationed here?
at the Camp Higgins, yes. So that wasn't, he went over to the fire. There was no fire department at that time, you know.
No.
Well, to return to you, Marie.
Come on.
Well,
When did you decide what you wanted to be?
you'll have to
Like,
sort that out in there to get it.
Oh, that's okay. I just keep sort of asking her about what she was thinking about and what she was wanting.
Well,
to
there's a
be.
lot of change here since we come here back in 1918. It was all wild. No, this is just dirt trail here. You know how we got that road in here? Governor Brooker come to Legion Ground from Lansing
Governor Bricker?
to the Legion. They got that started there. They couldn't make this hill, so you got to do lakeside. And he went back down there and he appropriated money right now. They got that road in them 2 miles or 3, and they put it in with horses. And they've done the best they could. They hauled the gravel, and that's why when they first get the gravel in, they had stones that big in there. And boy, they're cobblestones.
What, that be an 8 or 10-inch stone?
I know they come right out of that pit there in the forestry area. They use it for dumping junk now and garbage, but they don't do that anymore. They've been trying to get it fixed, but Roscommon had it, but they changed over, and Crawford got it back, and they ain't got no money to go and do it. Roscommon could have had it fixed up by now. No, Crawford County, same as Roscommon. They get a lot of roads in along the subdivision they didn't have it in there, and the township pays part, county road commission pays part of it, and the owners pay a certain amount of it. That's what they do in Crawford County
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
They get the roads that way. That's why they got Dark Road. And some other places got roads that way. Roscommon got a lot of them that way. Well, that helps in their building. course, if you got just a lot or two, it don't cost you $1.50 a foot, square foot. If it's
Murray, did you and Catherine quarrel, or did you play well together?
Oh, we had our spats, you know.
Can you tell anything funny about it?
Maybe I'd
Interesting?
rather not.
Well,
Yes, I like to, she would do cooking and I like to have things, I would do the cleaning, things like that.
so you were well divided.
Yeah, yes, and I liked outdoors and she liked it indoors better, so we got along,
So that worked out.
except I wouldn't milk a cow. She could, but Grandma always did that.
What was your father doing at these times?
Well, farming, and then it worked down at the Cottage Grove and carpenter in the summertime. The only time he could do carpentry work. And that's where these people from Saginaw, they were Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, they came up here in the summertime and stayed at Cottage Grove where Harriet was, and so my father worked for him. Jimmy Anderson, remember him?
Yeah.
He was kind of stooped and such white hair, pretty white hair. They came to Scotland. They were Scottish people.
He had a very old model car. I can't think what it was that he drove up from Saginaw.
Oh, yes,
What
he
was
did.
that?
What it was, I don't know, but he'd come up to the farm and it would just, when he started up, it would just roar. Whether he was hard of hearing or what, I don't know, but yeah.
I can't think what kind of.
What did Mr. Anderson, what kind of a car was Mr. Anderson's when he came up here? Do you remember what make it was? Was it a Ford?
Ford.
Ford. I think everything was a Ford at that time, wasn't it? Chevrolet probably came in
Mr.
later.
Perkins took care of it. We kept them in repair, and that's how we got acquainted with Perkins too.
It took them all day to come from Saginaw up here
Well,
because the roads were bad.
they didn't have the road they got now. They had
It wasn't
trails.
direct like it is now. It was zigzagged around, to the towns.
You can make it down an hour and a half now, less than that.
Yes.
Drive down with someone, go down the freeway, you go 65 and they all pass you.
I remember the house that they worked on, the Wentworth. Do you remember the Wentworth house?
Yeah, I remember it, but he only
that's
worked.
one that I know they built.
He only worked 1 or 2 seasons after I came, so I didn't know him very long. He was,
Was the builder you're talking about?
yes, he's carpenter
Yeah.
for Cottage Grove.
Oh,
He came up from Saginaw each spring, and spent the summer.
Spent the summer.
did he build the Cottage Grove cottages?
He worked in Cottage Grove.
We had some local people too doing that, but he was one that came from Saginaw.
I think he had charge pretty much of everything, and then people worked for him.
I don't know how I just know that.
He would hire, I don't know.
Well, I think we reached the end of our, I think, kind of